We don't have any empirical metrics to prove this, but my hunch is last Thursday night you couldn't find a happier newly elected MPP anywhere in the province than Mike Schreiner. After 3 unsuccessful attempts, the 4th time was the charm, this time in the riding of Guelph. And Mike Schreiner joins us now to relive last Thursday night and tell us what he wants to accomplish now that the Greens have their first ever seat at Queen's Park. Congratulations.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it.
I do want to start last Thursday night. You see the numbers starting to come in. The numbers are good. What's going through your head?
You know what? What's going through my head is, what do I want to tell the people of Ontario and, most importantly, the people of Guelph? And so I was in my hotel room crafting what I wanted to say, and my wife, my kids, my staff were all going crazy around me, excited with the numbers coming in. And I was like, can you all be quiet? I'm trying to figure out what I want to say.
Did you know you were going to win at the beginning of the night?
We were optimistic. I mean, I had a really good feeling. I mean, the response I was receiving, I couldn't go anywhere in Guelph on election day without people coming up to me saying, I'm voting for you, or honking their horn. And so there was a lot of excitement on the street. My favorite story of the day is I had a 68-year-old gentleman walk up to me and say, I'm 68, I've never voted. You inspired me to vote for the first time.
He had never voted, period?
Never voted, period, in his life.
Let alone never voted Green, but he never voted, period.
Period. First time he'd ever voted in his life, he voted Green in this election.
Well, that's pretty nice. How did you celebrate on election night?
You know what? I celebrated by doing tons of media interviews. It was nonstop from the minute that the news came out until about midnight that night. And I finally, at about midnight, just had a really, time with my wife and my family, my 2 daughters, and we had a little bit of family time together. And then we were right back at it the next morning at 6 o'clock.
How old are your kids?
My oldest is 18 and my youngest is 12.
Oh, so they're certainly well old enough to know
how
big a deal this is.
My oldest worked full-time on the campaign. It was really nice to have her be a part of it.
So they watched the returns come in with you?
We did, yes. We all watched them together.
Now, the irony of this victory, of course, is that you are now going to be probably living in 2 different cities, right? You got your home in Guelph, and you probably got a place in Toronto as well.
Right.
So you will be seeing a lot less of them. Do they know that?
It's interesting that you say that, because on election day, we ran into Frank Valerian, who was a former MP for Guelph. And he looked at my wife and he said, you better enjoy lunch with this man today, because you may not be seeing as much of him in the very near future.
When's your birthday?
June 9th, the same day as yours. So
yes,
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. To you too. So you got a pretty good birthday gift this year.
I did. And it was interesting because my wife, on the day after the election, looked at me and said, sweetie, I haven't had time to get you a birthday present. And I said to her, you know what? The people of Guelph have given me the only present I really need. So
when's your anniversary?
Tomorrow. And we get to have some time we're going to spend together.
I hope you got her a gift.
I do have her a gift.
Good.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Well done. Let's bring these numbers up here. You know these numbers. It is a long journey to victory for you, Mike Schreiner. And here's how it started. In 2009, in Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock, that's the first time you ran. You got 6.6% of the vote, which was good enough for 3rd place. In 2011, you tried again, this time in the riding of Simcoe Grey. Upped the vote a little bit, 8.7%, but unfortunately it was only good for 4th place that time. 2014, the last election, you ran in Guelph. You got it up to 19%, but again, only good enough for 3rd place. And then, of course, the big breakthrough this year, you got 45% of the total votes cast in Guelph, good enough to win the riding. How do you, first of all, let me ask this. How many doors do you estimate you've knocked on in all 4 of those elections?
Oh, it's been tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Like, I would say we're probably getting close to 100,000 over that time, because it's not only been during the election, Steve. I've been knocking on doors in between elections around issues that I care about. So I've collected thousands of postcards, for instance, to protect Guelph's water. And so when you add all those doors up, I'm guessing we're close to 100,000.
Why did you not quit after the 2nd or 3rd time out?
Because I believe in what I'm doing, and I recognize that being a part of a new party that hasn't had a seat at Queen's Park, I knew would be a big challenge. But you know what? Nothing in life that's worth doing is easy. And so I have a saying by my desk every day that I look at that says, I'd rather be elected choosing the right road than the easy road. And I feel like I've chosen the right road, but it certainly wasn't the easy road.
How many times in those intervening years would your family or friends have come to you and said, Mike, you can bow out with your head up right now. You gave it the good old college try, but it's just not the cards for you.
That conversation's happened a few times, and I've had a few moments myself where I've asked myself, is it really worth it? Are there other ways that I can fight for the issues I believe in? But I really feel that leaving a legacy, a livable future for my children and grandchildren is priority one for me. And I think having a political system and politics that puts forward policies and a vision for the province that creates that livable future is really important. And I think the Green Party's values and vision and policies can deliver on that. And so I'm going to keep working hard.
I mean, again, in that chart, you tripled your vote essentially from one election ago to this election. You won your seat by almost 15,000 votes. I mean, it was an astonishingly big victory. Why do you think the margin of victory was so big? What happened?
Yeah, I think there are three elements. So one is that I've just been a champion for Guelph for so many years now, and I've worked so hard in the community. I've been a part of so many community organizations, and I think people just saw me as a strong voice for Guelph. And, sometimes local politics does really matter, even in a world where, so much focus is on the leaders. I think the second thing is that there was a strong appetite for change in this election. And so I had so many Liberals and Conservatives in particular say to me, Mike, I just can't vote for the Liberals this time. Or in Guelph's case, I just can't vote for a Doug Ford-led Conservative Party. And maybe the rest of the province didn't agree with that, but people in Guelph certainly felt that way. And then I think the final one, which maybe is the most important, was our message about doing politics differently. We ran a positive, clean campaign. While the other three parties spent much of their time, particularly at the leader level, tearing each other down, I talked about how we're going to build Ontario up, how we're going to build Guelph up. And I think that positive, hopeful message really resonated with people. And so I've made a pledge to do politics differently, and I plan to deliver on that pledge in the legislature.
And what does that mean? No heckling, no cheap shots, that kind of thing?
Exactly. So you know what? I want to get away from this, that let's tear the other parties down, like I'm always right, you're always wrong. And let's reach out and let's work across party lines. Of course, there'll be places where we disagree. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have four main political parties. But in areas where there is agreement, I want to work across party lines to get things done for Guelph and for Ontario.
Well, to that end, you know that there are considerable rumblings and rumors right now that the Liberals have 7 seats, and there's you. And obviously, if you were to caucus with them, they would become an official party, and with that comes, of course, ice time at question period, more money for staff, more money for research budgets, and so on. Is that in the cards?
No, it's not in the cards. I'm elected as a Green. I will sit as a Green, and I won't do anything that will compromise my independence as a Green MPP for Guelph. I will have to tell you, though, that just to show you how hard it's going to be to change our political culture is even the mere mention where I've said, hey, I'm willing to cooperate with other parties. I'm willing to work across party lines. I've reached out to the Liberals, the NDP, and the Conservatives. That's led to a week of rumors that somehow I am joining the Liberals. And because I think, there's so much cynicism out there right now that, if somebody's actually talking about working with other parties, there must be some sort of deal going on or whatever. And can't we just take somebody for their word that they actually do want to find ways in which I can work with other parties, whether it's the Conservatives, the Liberals, or the NDP, to get things done for Ontario?
Well, again, let's see how that actually looks on the ground, because the fact of the matter is the Progressive Conservatives got 40% of the vote, and they have 100% of the power at Queen's Park right now. They have a majority government. The NDP obviously did very well. They've got 40 seats now. They're going to be, that's the biggest opposition in 33 years, I think. And you're 1 seat. You're 1 out of 124. What can you really do down there?
Well, you know what? I'm going to follow in the footsteps of other Green leaders across the country. PEI, New Brunswick, BC, Elizabeth May federally. They've all been able to pass private members' bills to make a difference in people's lives. They've all approached the legislature in a way that I intend to, which is no heckling, more civility. Let's get rid of this sort of toxic political culture. Let's figure out how to work across party lines. As an example, one of the big issues for me was mental health. The Conservatives had funding for mental health in their what was
sort of
platform. It wasn't a full platform. So that's an area we can work on. Doug Ford in the last leaders debate said, I believe in climate change and I believe humans are causing it. And so, as a business person, maybe I can appeal to him and say, let's embrace the clean economy. That's where the job growth is, and not tackling climate change is actually bad for business. So I'm going to look for ways, same way with the NDP and the Liberals, I'm going to look for ways where we can find agreement. I'm obviously going to be confrontational when I need to be confrontational, because there are certain issues that I'll go to the wall for, like if I don't want us to take a back go backwards on climate change. I don't want to see massive cuts to public services. So on things like that, I will be confrontational.
Ironically enough, though, you and Doug Ford have this in common, in as much as neither one of you likes the current cap-and-trade system happening at Queen's Park. Now, you wanted to get rid of it over 5 years and replace it with a carbon tax. He just wants to get rid of it, period, full stop. I mean, that sounds like what's the expression? An immovable object meaning an irresistible force. What's going to happen there?
Right. You know what? I'm reaching out to the Conservatives right now to say, you know what? Going backwards on climate change is bad for business. So let's embrace the clean economy. Let's bring in carbon pricing that creates a dividend for people. So by having it revenue neutral, putting money in people's pockets, I think that would be appealing to many conservative and non-conservative voters. So there are ways of going about this that we can continue to fight the climate crisis while at the same time helping people. And the bottom line is if we get rid of cap and trade right away, I think it's going to be completely irresponsible and have negative economic and environmental ramifications for the province. So I'm hoping that Mr. Ford will come in, he will realize that, and will shift direction, but not go backwards.
You've already said that one of the things you'd like to do is have private members' bills that you will write and hopefully get passed. What's the first one?
You know what? I'm consulting with my constituents in Guelph on that right now. I'll be honest with you, during the election, I said electoral reform would be probably my #1 priority as a private member's bill. At that point, I was sort of anticipating a minority government and that I would really have some leverage on that. I think in the current electoral climate, I'm reconsidering and looking at other things like protecting water, which is a huge issue in Guelph, and I know an issue that helped propel me to victory. And that's what a lot of my constituents are talking about as well. So I'm going to look for something that I feel like I can get a win on that will benefit Guelph and benefit Ontario.
So the first private member's bill may have more to do with your local riding as opposed to something province-wide.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Again, we haven't had this situation in a very long time where we have 4 parties in the Ontario legislature, or we will have 4 parties once the House reconvenes. I don't think we've had 4 parties in more than 40 years. I mean, it's been a very long time. But you're not an official party. So I have to assume you have almost no budget to play with there, almost no budget to hire staff, almost no budget to do research. There's no guarantee you're ever going to get up during question period and get a question over to the government side, right? You don't have any entitlements to that. Have you thought about how you're going to make all this work?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the budget side of things, you're absolutely right. And it's been interesting over the last couple of days, just corresponding back and forth with the clerk's office at the legislature. They don't quite know how to deal with me because it's a whole new ball game for them as well. So we're still working that out. But you know what? Jack McLaren, who was elected as a Conservative and recently sat as a member of the Trillium Party when he was removed from the Conservative caucus, I mean, he was able to ask questions and participate in debate. And so I guess
I should clarify. Forgive me. I guess I should say there were 4 parties in the legislature in the last session,
that's right,
but not 4 elected parties.
Exactly.
Because Jack McLaren had left. That's right.
That's right. And so, I'm anticipating that I will still have opportunities to ask questions. I mean, not as frequently, obviously, as a party with official party status. I'll have opportunities to participate in members' debates. We're looking at options around committees. So we're still exploring that. But you know what? I look at something like David Kuhn in New Brunswick. 1 Green MLA, he was able to pass over the last 4 years 4 pretty major pieces of legislation as a single Green MLA. So I'm anticipating that if I bring a new approach to politics, and I'm no stranger to Queen's Park, as you know, Steve.
Oh, I know. You've been sitting up in the
I've been sitting up in the gallery for a long
time.
So, I'm confident about my ability to navigate and get things done at Queen's Park.
Now, they never let you wear that pin when you were sitting up in the gallery. Are you allowed to wear it on the floor of the legislature?
Well, you can't have props on the floor of the legislature, but you can certainly have little pins on the floor of the legislature. So and I'll be able to hold my phone, too, because I used to have to turn my phone in as well.
Now, I do recall, I think on previous visits to this program, you've told us that you did have private meetings with Kathleen Wynne while she was the Premier, in which, you guys obviously discussed the issues of the day. Do you have any understanding as to whether or not you'll have that same relationship with Doug Ford?
Yeah, I'm hoping I will. I mean, I don't know yet at this point. I have sent letters to Mr. Ford as well as to Andrew Horvath and, Kathleen Wynne, but now I'll probably send it to John Fraser. Right. Requesting time to meet with them, because I think it's important if I'm going to, work across party lines and figure out ways we can cooperate. It's important that we meet and discuss areas where we agree and we can move things forward.
So conceivably, you will vote, even though you're an opposition member, you will vote with the government when you think it's appropriate.
It'll be a case-by-case basis, absolutely. Okay. So if something comes up that I agree with, I won't have a problem voting with the government. If I disagree with it, I won't have a problem voting against the government either.
We got about a minute left here, which is certainly enough time for you to finish the following sentence. My next 4 years at Queen's Park will be considered a success if what?
If I'm seen as a strong champion for Guelph and a strong voice for doing politics differently at Queen's Park, if I can show the ability to get things done at Queen's Park and actually prove that one Green MPP can make a really big difference to benefit Guelph, benefit Ontario, and then I think the voters of Ontario are going to reward Greens in the next election.
You know, of course, they're going to have to save a podium for you at the leaders' debate in 4 years' time.
I'm anticipating that.
I mean, whatever explanation was given in the past for your not being there, namely that you were not enough, you hadn't elected anybody, well, you've elected somebody now.
We've fulfilled every requirement that's been stated by the consortium. We fully expect to participate in the leaders' debates in the next election.
Very interesting. Mike Schreiner, we offer you our congratulations one more time and look forward to seeing you down at Queen's Park on the floor as opposed to up in the gallery where you used to spend the last many years.
It'll be nice to wave up at you instead of across the gallery.
There you go. That's Mike Schreiner, who, when he gets sworn in, will be the first ever Green MPP in Ontario history. He'll be the MPP for Guelph. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Steve.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.